Right now, India is going through this huge energy transformation. And there's this one company, Advait Energy Transitions, that's positioned itself right smack in the middle of all the action. So let's really dig in here and figure out what their game plan is to power India's future.
Okay, so right out of the gate, Advait is making a really bold statement. They're not just saying, hey, we're a part of this. Nope, they see themselves as the ones pushing the pedal to the metal, the ones making it all happen faster. And you know, this one line from their annual report, it pretty much tells you everything you need to know about their whole strategy.
All right, so that's a big claim, right? The question is, how are they actually pulling it off? I mean, how do you go from just being another player to being a key enabler in a sector this enormous? Well, it turns out their strategy is this really smart two-pronged attack. Basically, they're dominating the present to build the future. So first up, let's talk about their foundation. This is their Power Transmission Solutions division, or PTS for short. You can think of this as their bread and butter, the core business that keeps today's grid running. And crucially, it's what gives them the cash and the know-how to go after the energy of tomorrow.
And to really get a sense of what they do, just look at one of their flagship products. Okay, picture this. A massive storm rolls through and takes out a critical power line. Everything goes dark. Well, an emergency restoration system, or ERS, is basically like a paramedic for the power grid. It's this temporary modular tower they can set up super fast to get the power back on while the main permanent fixes are happening.
And this is where it gets really impressive. Advait went and developed India's first ever homegrown ERS. Yeah, it's a huge make-in-India success story, and it can get power restored in less than 48 hours. Think about that. This isn't just some product they're selling. It's a critical tool for the country's energy security.
But it's not just about emergency systems. Oh no, their expertise goes way deeper. They're at the top of their game in everything from the super specialized tools you need to actually string up transmission lines to advanced cables that can carry both electricity and data. And they even handle these crazy complex projects where they upgrade the grid while the power is still on. Wild.
Okay, so that's the foundation. It's solid. It's profitable. Now, let's get to the really exciting part, how they're building for the future. And that brings us to their new and renewable energy division, the NRE division. And believe me, this is where they are placing some of their biggest, boldest bets.
And they're not just throwing darts at a board here. They are laser-focused on the most crucial parts of the clean energy puzzle. So we're talking the whole green hydrogen shebang, from making it to using it in fuel cells. We're talking about battery energy storage systems, BESS, which, are absolutely essential if you want to have a stable grid powered by solar and wind. Plus the jumping into carbon markets and building out solar projects. Now, a key thing to understand is that they're smart enough to know they can't do all of this alone, so a massive piece of their playbook is teaming up with global experts. For example, they've got a joint venture with a Norwegian company, Tico 2030, to bring top-tier hydrogen fuel cell tech right into India. And they've also locked down an agreement with Gawafu to make sure they have a steady supply of all the equipment needed for green hydrogen. So what's the bottom line? They're basically importing the best technology from around the world to build a clean energy giant right here at home.
And it's not all just about hardware and technology. They're also carving out a big space for themselves in the carbon credit market. Get this, their target is to manage over 8 million carbon credits by 2030. That's not just another revenue stream, it's a high-margin one, and it plants them firmly at the center of the whole corporate sustainability movement.
Okay, so bold plans and cool tech are great, but you know what's better? Results. So let's dive into the numbers, because this whole accelerator story is backed up by some seriously impressive financial firepower.
177%. That's how much their order book grew in just the first half of the fiscal year. I mean, that's not just growth, that's an explosion. And what that tells you is the market really trusts them. And more importantly, it's a huge sign of all the revenue that's about to come pouring in.
And that future revenue, it's not some far-off dream. It's happening right now. In that same 6-month window, their revenue hit 275 crores. That's a 160% jump from the year before. Just wow. I mean, look at that growth curve. It is just shooting straight up.
So where is all this business actually coming from? Well, their total order book has now officially crossed 1,000 crores. Now, if you break it down, their traditional power business makes up a really solid 76% of that. But here's the kicker. Their brand new renewable energy division already makes up 24% of the pie. That is a massive vote of confidence in their big diversification bet.
And all this explosive growth? They say it's just the beginning. So let's check out their actual roadmap for scaling this thing up and building the company of tomorrow.
Whenever a company grows this fast, investors always start asking the same question. Yeah, but are you profitable? And on their last earnings call, the management team gave a really clear answer. They said, listen, we're not obsessed with just the percentage margin. We're focused on the quantum, the actual total dollar amount of profit that's going to grow the company's net worth. It's a really interesting strategy, right? It's all about getting massive first and creating huge long-term value.
And when they talk about scale, they mean it, and it's coming fast. Just look at this timeline. It's clear, it's aggressive, and they're not messing around. So, phase 1 of their electrolyzer manufacturing for green hydrogen, done by January 2026. By July, a whole new integrated factory is up and running. And by the end of that year, boom, they're aiming for a full 300 megawatts of electrolyzer capacity.
And this big expansion, it's not just for the new stuff. It touches their entire product line. They're going to more than double their production capacity for those specialized stringing tools, aiming for over 80 crores a year. And remember those critical ENR towers? They'll be cranking out 350 of them every single year. So yeah, it's pretty obvious they are getting ready for a huge wave of demand.
All right, so we've looked at their solid foundation, their big bet on the energy transition, the incredible numbers, and their roadmap for the future. So what's the big takeaway here?
What Advait is doing is this incredible balancing act. They're using the money and the muscle from today's essential power grid business to fund and build the clean energy world of tomorrow. So the real question is, can this two-pronged attack, this strategy of building a bridge between today and tomorrow, actually make them a leader in what might be the biggest economic shift of our lifetime? India's trillion-dollar energy transition.